So welcome everybody. Welcome to this webinar that should last normally around 1 hour. My name is Yaniss Guigoz. I work at both University of Geneva and Grid Geneva, along with Anthony, Denisa, Gregory, and Pierre. I'm introducing this webinar today along with Paolo and Mattia because the work we did around the virtual laboratory in Era Planet also builds on what we had done so far and are still doing together with CNR in the Eco-Potential project. So we thought it's relevant to make synergies between these two projects and hence this series of webinars. So the main objective of today's webinar, the first one, is just to give you an introduction to you as model developers on how to make the models runnable through the Era Planet virtual laboratory. So for that, we have planned two sessions, one today, and the next one during the week of the 21st of January, to be precise at the later stage, which day exactly. So today we will give a general overview of the virtual laboratory. We will make a few demos and training on how to port your models on the virtual laboratory. I will start, in fact, this session by a small demonstration of the existing online help. And of course, we will open the floor for discussions. So it should take not more than 1 hour normally, and I will start with a few minutes about this online documentation. Then Mattia will talk about the requirements of this virtual laboratory, and we'll give an example of porting a model with simple code. And we'll finish by your questions and feedbacks. So regarding the virtual laboratory help, we have set up a web page. You have the address that appears on the presentation. It is kind of living documentation. We try to update as much as possible, as often as possible. And it uses a collaborative online tool called Confluence. And the main target for what we put in this online help is for the VLab users and also the VLab resources producers, in particular the modelers. So the structure of this online help is, first of all, a few descriptions. For example, you will see an introduction, a description of the virtual laboratory. Then we have a big section that we called how to. So one of these sections is for the VLab users. For the resource users, and the other of these sections is for the modelers, the one who wants to share their resources. And finally, we have another big category that we call references, where you will find some glossary, bibliography links, and so on. I will pass in detail in all these sections in the coming slides. So when you arrive on the home page, for every page that I will show here, you have the exact URL at the bottom. But when you land on the home page, you have a series, all the links available that are on the left menu. So first of all, the introduction, it explains to you the context of the virtual laboratory. And it gives also some important links in case you are looking for them, like the UN SDGs, Paris Agreement, and so on. Then, maybe more interesting is the virtual laboratory description. You have, first of all, a link to the VLab itself in the first sentence. You have a schema as well as a short explanation of what is in this virtual laboratory. And then we arrive at the page where the different models available in the virtual laboratory are listed. Of course, this will evolve through time. As you can see at the moment, we only have 2 Era Planet models that are ported in the VLab. These are the two at the top, Swiss Protected Biodiversity Areas and Mines Workflow Final. These are more or less ready to be shared on the virtual laboratory, even though they are not yet available as other models that are completely stable. But I will come back to it in a while. At the bottom of my slide, you can see another list of models. These are the ones that were developed in the frame of the eco-potential projects, because the same platform, VLab platform, is used both for eco-potential and ERA-Planet models. When you click on the link of one of these models available here, you will reach a page with some description of the model, as well as with maybe some links, some illustrations, as well as the institution and the name of the person who developed this model, in case you need to contact this person and have more details. So this is it for the models description section. Now we arrive in the how-to section. The first one, as I mentioned earlier, is for the resource users. And in there, at the moment, we have two, let's say, main guidelines. One that describes how to run workflows, and the other one that gives more information about the available virtual laboratory APIs. So in the first case, you have a short description in 4 points how to run workflows from the VLab. And for that, you can see on the point 3 that some workflows, I mean, many of the workflows will show in red only if you click this under test button. And it's only when you click this button that you will see, for example, the two ERA-Planet models that are available that I mentioned earlier. Now, regarding the page for the APIs, ERA-Planet APIs, you have here a link as well as some small explanations in case you need to use them. Now, if you are a resource provider and want to share your own models, this is the section where you will find the necessary explanations. At the moment, there are still two main points. So all the Docker-related questions, because as you might know, Docker is used and necessary for porting your models on the virtual laboratory. And you have, except these specific Docker-related questions, you have a whole guideline of how to publish your model using, I mean, you have the whole description of that, not only about Docker, but about also GitHub and all that. So here you have a few screenshots, but something may be important to mention before you start thinking about porting your model regarding Docker is that, of course, you will find in this documentation how to create a Docker image, but in most cases, it might not be necessary for you, because you will find already a lot of corresponding Docker images existing on the Docker hub. You have the URL on my slide, hub.docker.com. So before creating your own image, just have first of all a look in this Docker hub, which might save you a lot of time. But if you don't find what you need there, you have the explanations on this online help to proceed yourself for this Docker image creation. The other sublink that I was mentioning, yeah, there was some noise. Now it's fine. So the other sublink I was mentioning is the total workflow to port your model online, and you have step-by-step description here. Besides all that I mentioned so far, you will find a glossary, you will find some bibliography, and you will find also a contact us section that lists Denisa, of course, but that lists also Mattia as the technical developer of this virtual laboratory, that lists Paolo Mazzetti, overseeing all this development, and myself, in case you have some specific needs regarding the online help. But of course, as I said, it's a living documentation, and your feedbacks are really wanted and needed. So you are most welcome to contact us, to ask us any question, to point at anything that would not be clear in the descriptions that we provide. And this is how we will be able to enrich this online help. So thank you very much for your attention, and I give the floor to Mattia for proper demonstrations. Thank you.